Because right now, GR, as far as I'm aware of, doesn't have a great explanation or even really a good explanation for what is physically motivating a negative or a 0 point pressure or a negative pressure. Space-time.
The Aether has a good answer.
Again, give me a theoretical framework that will that can be tested versus against astronomical observations. And I will send it along. I will look it over and see what and let you know.
It's a repulsive reactive action within the etheric fluid-like background medium. Gravity is intrinsically electromagnetic in nature, which is why we see the natural relationship between Coulomb's law and the law of gravitation. It has a reciprocation, equinox reaction in the ether. It reciprocates, and then the fundamental constant of elementary charge is what's found in everything that exists.
Well, you can say that Coulomb's law is also sort of coupled with the diminution of light, because they're both inverse.
That's true. But that's not attractive. That's not attractive.
The thing is with, and this is what I'm talking about in terms of that framework, is if you're saying that there is electrostatic forces, the electrostatic force is really what's causing the motions of all things, then we should see massive amounts of charge in the various astronomical objects, and we don't.
Oh, I don't think that, by the way. Like, just so you know, I don't think that electrostatics could ever cause the planetary motion or anything like that. That's insane.
Okay.
It's way too weak to do that. But yeah, maybe some charge in general, electromagnetism specifically. I would say coherent magnetism. That's not the same as electrostatics, but on the Earth we have everything being intrinsically electrostatic. Creates a really weak bias. Things go down to ground out at the ground. In the sky it would be electromagnetic. I think it's a plasma-like background.
But I want to kind of turn around on you is that you're saying that we are presupposing. Aren't you presupposing that the Earth is at the center and that you create this ether in order for it to make that work? You're kind of presupposing that the ether is there because, as I've stated, there's no evidence for it.
Oh, no. There is evidence for it. There's free space impedance of 377 ohms. There's dielectric and magnetic constants in a vacuum. There's the Casimir effect. There's quantum foam. There's all kinds of stuff. There is evidence for it. Even just fundamentally in logic terms, what sustains the energy? If energy cannot be created nor destroyed, it can only be transferred. Where is it transferred from? There's all kinds of things that I can name as to evidence of the ether. Instantaneous action at distance, even in principle. What are virtual particles? What is magnetism? Thus, particle physics can't explain it. Virtual particles aren't a real thing, to quote Richard Feynman. They're just concepts we came up with. They're not the input or output of any experiment ever. It's just a concept we came up with to make the math balance out, and their existence is questionable at best, but we can't explain electricity, electrostatics, i.e. static electricity, magnetism, anything without virtual particles. That's the ether. Anyway, light is actually an ether perturbation. I can explain the double slit, no problem. I can get rid of the light particle duality with the ether. It is a much more viable framework. And there is evidence for it, the impedance of free space. And actually, that's not the fact that the Earth is stationary and in the center isn't why I think there's an ether. They're independent things. Like the Earth, the default position based on all empirical evidence is that the Earth is stationary. Like, that's it. Like, do you feel the Earth moving? No. Now, I get, of course, Earth's this big, you don't feel it moving. I get it. I 100% get that. But that's not the point. The default position is that it's not moving. And when I fly a plane, I treat it like it's not moving. When I see the stuff in the sky is moving, and I'm not moving. So on just a really rudimentary level, like, the opposite claim has the burden of proof. You're claiming that the opposite of everything that I actually observe and experience is true. But it's deeper than that. When we had interferometry try to go and measure the motion of the Earth over 10 times more sensitive than it needed to be to detect the assumed 30 kilometer per second motion, it didn't do that. And it still hasn't done that to this day with 1,000 times more precise equipment. So that Newtonian mechanics is completely out of the window as viable. It's not even close. It can't be any type of absolute frame of reference. So when we went to measure the Earth moving, we can't, dude. So then when we went, what a coincidence that we couldn't measure it, but then we used that same technology to try to measure the sidereal rotation, and it worked. Within 98% accuracy, it matched it with Michelson-Gale-Pearson. Same exact principles of physics, same exact principles of interferometry. We detected the rotation, didn't detect the orbit. there's only one viable explanation. It's that the Earth's not moving. There's all kinds of stuff like that. It's not just like randomly I try to force geocentrism in because I want the ether or anything like that. It's just the default empirical position in both situations. Heliocentrism is one that forces itself in. It forces itself in on the evidence.